love you. Now, I'm sounding like Bob Euchre now, right? And all that. Well, NBC. He was doing NBC, started ABC, but he did NBC baseball when they got the contract, the World Series. He did color commentary along with, I think it was Joe Morgan. Bob Costas did the play-by-play 97 World Series. I remember that. NBC was trying to bring back baseball, and so here's Mr. Baseball, right? Bob Euchre, still doing the Brewers games. We plays highlights from time to time. Brewers are relevant now. They're right in the pennant race. The circumstance, though, goes that style is what you make it. I'm Marky Billson, 1420 WEMB Sports Radio. You can also listen to jetbroadcasting.live or be one of the more than 2,000 people that have liked 1420 WEMB Sports Radio on Facebook, because you can watch this show whenever you like. We archive it on the video section. It is getting a little bit, we've got so many videos, it's getting a little bit difficult for some of the older broadcasts, but if you go and you scroll, you'll be able to find what you need and all that. Ricky Rockman earlier this week, for instance, that was a huge, that was fun. I love talking to Ricky Rockman. The second time we had him on the show here. But first one is, by the way, on YouTube, if you're so inclined, and you'll be able to find on Facebook him talking about Slayergate. People are prudes here and all that, so we're looking at that. But I am not a prude. Sounds like, I am not an animal. I am not a prude. But I am not a prude. And if you don't believe me, well, style is what you make it. You can be cool. But are you as cool as Marky Billson hosting a sports talk show? And you can see his handsome face on Facebook as he wears his Brian Johnson dut. Are you that cool? Are you so cool that Unicoi County is 20-11 when you're calling the play-by-play of their games? Come on. No, probably not, right? You got to be pretty darn cool. You got to be like 1981 Dan Marino cool in the dark glasses or something like that to be that cool, right? And one of the reasons I'm so damn cool is, of course, my footwear. Yes, you heard me, and I'm going to put this up on Facebook Live. Yes, right there. You see that? Right there. Don't worry about this where it's worn. Right there. The Python boots. I've told this story before. Let me talk about myself here. Yes, the Python boots. How do you get started wearing Python boots, Marky, and all that? Well, years ago, remember David Letterman? I used to be a big Letterman fan. Remember when David Letterman, and he'd host his show, late night years. I think he did this in later years too. But he'd wear a suit, but he'd wear it with sneakers. Yeah. Remember that? Okay. One day, he's doing his monologue. And he just starts to mention that yesterday, it's Manhattan, he's out and about trying to get something to eat, probably going to a finer place. They wouldn't let him in the restaurant wearing a suit and sneakers. And he was surprised. And he said, would you let me in here? And, and he holds up it was Adidas, I remember he's wearing, he said, look at this. I've got the coat on, I've got the and half the crowd is going, yeah. And the other half is going, no, and all this. And he looks at one of the people who says no, and he says, no? Well, what would you have me wear? Clear as day, a Letterman fan in the audience screams out, Python boots! To which Letterman says, Python boots, thank you. That concludes the program for this evening. And I always wanted Python boots after that. Yeah. By the way, I told that story to Jeremy Pruitt once. Jeremy Pruitt doesn't have to think I'm funny and all that, but in one ear and out the other. And this is one of the reasons why I kind of doubt that Pruitt might be the guy to turn the balls around. I got an ear of asparagus until he was 32. Let's hope he leans on his assistants. This is not the most articulate guy in the press conference, And you start wondering, do we want the other coach to be consistently smarter than our own? Gotta ask that. So, but style is what you make. Now that footwear, okay, that's a long way to go. But you know who likes my boots? Let's show them again because they're so darned attractive here. Yes, if you're on radio, well, you know that you have to start liking us on Facebook then on our 1420 WEMB Sports Radio Facebook page. But yes, it is the Python boot showing again. See, the skin hasn't started to peel and all that. I used to wear red Python boots. I like that. Yeah. Once saw at Shepler's, that's a store, Western, where they had pink Python boots. No, I didn't get that, but I was sort of like, I'd like to have a lady to give this, you know, one of the few times that I wanted, you know, some, you know, yeah, one of the few times I wanted that. But regardless, Billy Geurin won a Stanley Cup with the New Jersey Devils in '96. He was a veteran presence 10 years ago on the Pittsburgh Penguins when Malkin and certainly Crosby were in their prime, right after their back-to-back Stanley Cup appearances that the Penguins had. And you may remember on this show when the Predators and Penguins were playing for the Stanley Cup in 2017 that I had on Josh Yohe, who's an old friend of mine from Pittsburgh who covers the Penguins. And Yohe has always liked me, and I like him. And anyway, but no, Josh Yohe tells the story, and he told this on here, where Billy Geurin likes my kicks. Let's just put it that way, okay? I mean, he saw those things, and he took an initial liking. Man who's been in the NHL for 19 years. He's seen everything, right? Heck, what does he know about boots? He knows skates, right? He liked the Billson footwear, that's all we're saying, okay? And so, therefore, I think the Minnesota Wild will win the Stanley Cup very soon. Why? Because now Billy Geurin is the Minnesota Wild's general manager. Hey, it's a long time coming. If any place, any fan base deserves their team winning a Stanley Cup, even though it has a horrible nickname, even though the XFL is all over the Minnesota Wild in terms of a nickname. You want to talk about a bad nickname? I mean, you can talk about Utah Jazz #1, and then, you know, well, that really is bad. I guess it'd have to be #2 bad as well. But Minnesota Wild is about as bad as it gets. It's horrible. When I grow up, I want to be a Wild. You fail in grammar. There's no, I mean, you could not, but Minnesota is hockey territory, and let's face it, fans there deserve a winner, right? You know, I mean, they're passionate about the sport. So Billy Geurin, he'd been the assistant GM of the Pittsburgh Penguins for 5 years. In his, let's see, he was on the Penguins Stanley Cup team back in 2009. And Geurin was announced yesterday as the fourth general manager in the club's almost 20-year history. It was 3 weeks after predecessor Paul Fenton was fired by Craig Leopold, who is the Minnesota owner. I guess I can call them the Minnesota Six or the Minnesotas or something, you know, it's old-fashioned. I do not like the nickname Wild. Maybe as a general manager he can change nickname. Hang on. North Stars? I mean, they became the Dallas Stars when they moved. Roger Staubach was behind that. It's as if he didn't beat the Vikings enough. Now he had to really stab the back of the Minnesota sports fan right there. Roger Staubach and all that. You know, what an American hero. He played at Navy. Tell that to the people in Minnesota. I mean, you know. It's not enough you beat the Vikings all the time. You've got to take our team away from us? Come on. Yes, he was very instrumental in telling Norman Green that you ought to check out the locale of Dallas, Texas for your hockey team and such. Not that, yeah, because Dallas is such better hockey territory than Minnesota, isn't it? You know, all that. But that's what happened. Call them the North Stars again. I don't know, Mike Madonna out there. The N with the star at the top of the letter and all that. That was always pretty decent. I liked that. I liked that a lot. There you go. But Billy Geurin likes my footwear, so we like Billy Geurin. And so the Minnesota Wild, of course, big things on the horizon for the Minnesota Wild. Tell me it ain't going to happen. a lot of people would have told you that it wasn't going to happen for the Detroit Tigers last night. They had 3-10, Daniel Norris on the bump, and he was going against Justin Verlander. And Justin Verlander, being Justin Verlander, only allowed 2 hits to the lowly Detroit Tigers. Remember what I tell you, if you are looking to buy a house, bet against the Detroit Tigers. Now, thing is, you're not going to get real good odds. In fact, this was, I believe, I don't have the odds, but it was a very lopsided, like, Houston was, I believe, about a 3-1 favorite to win the game. So, if you bet on the Tigers, actually, you probably made a decent killing. But anyway, I said that Justin Verlander only allowed 2 hits. Here's one of them.
The strike one. Swinging a fly ball right field off the bat of Ronnie Rodriguez. It's deep, going back Springer, and it's gone! A home run! Ronnie Rodriguez goes opposite field, number 9, and the Tigers take a 1-0 lead here in the 5th.
Okay, there you go. What was the other hit that Verlander allowed?
Line drive left field, deep off the bat of Hicks. Got a chance, and it's gone! A home run! John Hicks, line drive, carries the big wall in left, number 9. And the Tigers take a 2-1 lead here in the 9th.
Well, that's not bad. 2 hits, 2 home runs. It's modern-day baseball, isn't it? But the Tigers win the game 2-1 against Justin Verlander that nobody saw coming. And Daniel Norris's 3 innings, scoreless, to begin the game, helped the Tigers win. Tyler Alexander became kind of the second starter. He threw 4 long relief innings, only allowed 1 run. Didn't get the victory, but nevertheless, 2-1 the Tigers. All right, I mean, the last place team beats first place team. The reason why we're talking about Daniel Norris, right? I mean, he's from Science Hill. Okay, that's the reason we're talking about it. But here's what I don't get. They're now going to, I saw the other day, Chris Sale was shut down by the Boston Red Sox. Remember they did this with Steven Strasburg? Shut down. They do this. And I'm sick of this. They're now talking about, well, Daniel Norris can only throw so many innings for the Tigers, whose bullpen is atrocious, despite the 2-1 victory yesterday. That's the exception to the rule. And here is Norris. Well, we don't want to waste his. He's 26 years old. On top of that, he's on a 1-year contract, and he's 3-10. I mean, are you really playing Detroit Tigers for 7 years down the line with Daniel Norris? But no, we've got to limit his innings, and so he can only go 3 innings and all that. So that's what he does. He becomes a de facto opener, goes through the order once. Tyler Alexander then goes through it twice, and they open. Lo and behold, the Tigers bullpen holds it this time, and so the Tigers win 2-1. But just, you want to talk about modern baseball. The 2 hits were home runs. The pitchers, 3 innings, 4 innings, 1 inning and 1. We have to save his arm. He's 26. He's on a 1-year contract. I guess that's good sign for Norris that the Tigers are doing this, because it would imply that they want to bring him back for 2020. So good news for the Science Hill product. But honest to goodness, I mean, heaven forbid Daniel Norris throw 200 innings in a season. It's not like that's ever been done before, or that he's in the prime of his life or anything like that. Athletes, bigger, stronger today, but if you're a baseball pitcher, much wimpier. Tri-City Sports Now, second hour, coming up.
20 WEMB Sports Radio.